Hello, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Premier League Primetime Show. I'm me, Davis. I'm back once again as your host, and I'm joined, as always, by my 3 amazing co-hosts. As always, how are all of you doing?
Great, Davis. How are you?
I'm good myself. And Andre, Sirius, how are you guys doing?
Good, great weekend to be a Spurs fan, but we'll get into that.
All right, and we'll get right into the show. But before we do, we're joined by our second guest on the show, a great friend of mine, Curtis. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk some Premier League footy.
That's just wonderful. Well, so let's get right into the show. So we have a couple of important transfer updates for you. So first off, sometime during the past week and a half ago, Thiago Alcantara from Bayern Munich and Diogo Jota from Wolves have signed for Liverpool. Curtis, question for you. How much do you think these two players will improve Liverpool? And what do you think they'll bring to them?
Well, Thiago speaks for himself. I mean, he's a world-class midfielder. I think that's what they needed. Last game we saw Fabinho slot in at center back. So to have Thiago there is is really good for them. He's a solid midfielder, one of the best in the world. And I mean, their attack is deadly as it is. So Jota coming off the bench is pretty lethal. So I think it's 2 good signings for them, even though it's really hard to improve that team already. But I think I like the signings they have made.
And yeah, I'd have to agree with everything that Curtis said. That's spot on. And I think both, regardless, will just add some extra depth to their midfield or up front. And yeah, I think what he said just summed it up perfectly. And for the next one, and I know someone will be very, very happy about this, but as it's been said, whether on social media or in the news, #Baleback has finally happened as Gareth Bale has returned to Tottenham, and he's joined by left back who was at Sevilla last year on loan, Sergio Reguilon. Andre, are you happy about this? And if so, what do you think they will bring to this Tottenham side?
Yes, yeah, it was. No, I don't think there's a fan out there that isn't pleased with those 2 signings. I mean, this is the first window in a while where we see Levy actually take risks, and I think we'll reap the reward. Bale back finally happened, and I think he needed a place where he could be appreciated. It felt like he was just going on breaks, and then his international break was finally a chance where he would be able to play his football. But Sergio Reguilon, obviously world-class last season, voted best left back in all of La Liga last year. United, I thought he was going to go to United, but, crappy board, and we swooped in, and I think he's happy.
And yeah, and I think what you said last year just points it out perfectly. Another player that Manchester United were linked with, and whether they didn't agree with the buyback clause, whether they were slow to bid or whatnot, and that just shows that's yet another player that Manchester United have failed to sign on a quick basis, and just really shows that their lack of efficient transfer negotiations really is a problem. Anyways, going to the next one, Nelson Semedo from Barcelona has signed for Wolves, and I'm going to give this one to Sirius here. Sirius, what do you think he will bring to Wolves? Do you think he'll be better than Doherty, worse than Doherty, or do you think he's just something entirely different?
I think he's something entirely different. He has great pace. He definitely has to work on the attacking aspect of his play. I would say that. I think it was a good buy, to be honest. I don't know why Barca actually let him go, to be honest. Barca's letting a bunch of people go these days. It was $40 million, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point there. I mean, I was a bit confused why Barcelona let him go, and I know our guests really, really won't be too happy about that.
And they don't value their players like they should.
Yeah, and I think at this current moment in time, I think they're just going off to Barcelona a little bit. I think Ronald Koeman, the manager of Barcelona, he's just really looking for his own rebuild. He's looking to bring in his own guys, and he's trying to get rid of guys that just don't really fit his criteria and stuff like that. And then it was getting on to the last point. Jose, Chelsea have finally signed, Senegalese Rennes goalkeeper Edouard Mendy. Jose, what do you think he will bring to this Chelsea side, and how much of an improvement will he be upon current number one Kepa Arrizabalaga?
Well, I think that Chelsea fans are going to be really, really thankful that they don't have to watch Kepa in goal anymore after that Liverpool game, especially. But I'm sure they're definitely sick and tired of him, and they'll be happy to have a new goalkeeper who's quality, by the way. He was one of the best goalkeepers in France last year, and I think he'll be a really good addition to the team.
And again, another great point there from Jose, and yeah, and getting on to Kepa, and I think Lampard, he's lost confidence in Kepa. Too many errors, and just all around, he just hasn't been good enough when it just comes to when it's just been coming to just solid performances overall. And just looking at Kepa just overall, his first season he was okay. He wasn't anything great, but I think he was okay. And then his second season was just when everything really went downhill for him. And you especially look at this season now, and I think Lampard is just, it just really has just, in my opinion, it's really sealed his fate now. I think, yeah, he'll definitely lose his number one, whether he stays his backup, whether he stays overall, whether he goes. The fate of Kepa now is unknown, but one thing's for sure, he won't be having that number one shirt for any time longer.
I remember after last season, I remember they put a compilation. It was the 20 best goals of the 1920 season. And I just remember like 6 to 8 of them were just outside shots that were against Kepa Arrizabalaga. He's conceded 19 goals from outside of the box since his arrival, which is insane. It's not good enough for a top 6 club.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that, and I can guarantee if our guest from last time, Robertson, were watching that show, he would probably be losing his mind over how Kepa was performing in that game. I could probably guarantee he wasn't too happy about that. Anyways,
yeah.
Let's move into the results from this past weekend. So, Curtis, coming to you. Everton versus West Brom. Everton won that game by 5 goals to 2, courtesy of a Dominic Calvert-Lewin hat-trick, a goal from a player that I know you are literally attached with, James Rodriguez, and central defender Michael Keane. And for West Brom, goals coming from courtesy of Grady Diangana and Mateus Pereira, and Kieran Gibbs got a red card that game. And Curtis, what do you make of this result?
I mean, Everton look on fire. I'm a little disappointed about conceding 2 goals to West Brom, but ever since last season, I think Everton has had those dangerous players like Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, but I just don't think they had the right personnel in the midfield to really just give them good service and just back them up. And that's exactly what they went out and bought. That new midfield looks really solid. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do this year.
Yeah, and I think Curtis just wraps it up perfectly. And before he was on, and the 4 of us and Robertson were on last week, all of us just predicted all on the same thing. And I think we were all spot on that one. And I think that was just one that was coming in, and it was just very easy to see that game was bound to happen. Going to the next game, Leeds United versus Fulham. Andre, Leeds won this game by 4 goals to 3. Goals coming from former Wolvesman Helder Acosta, click with a penalty kick, and their big man striker up front, Patrick Bamford. And for Fulham, Mitrovic with a brace, which one was a penalty, and Bobby Reed with a goal. And Andre, tell me, what do you make of this performance from Leeds and Fulham?
Yeah, I think this match echoed what we know from both sides. I think with Fulham, we know Mitrovic is going to be their most dangerous man, and he showed it in that match. In terms of Leeds United, we've seen inconsistent defense. Maybe it's related to them, losing Ben White last season. I don't know, but it's just, I think Leeds have to improve defensively, and Fulham have got to keep using that danger man, Mitrovic, because he's just so good.
Yeah, and I think what Andre says about Mitrovic is spot on, and especially what Mitrovic has been doing for Fulham ever since he's arrived. He's been the one that's been bagging in all the goals and stuff like that, and he's been a huge help for them and for Fulham ever since he's been there, and he's helped propel them back to the Premier League. Anyways, going into the next game, and this is probably a game which I'm assuming our viewers would be anxious to hear, me give my thoughts on, and especially Jose gave his thoughts on. But Manchester United, unbelievably underwhelming performance against Crystal Palace, losing at home by 3-1. Goals courtesy of Andros Townsend, Wilfried Zaha with the controversial penalty, and his goal that he scored on the break. But the bright spark for Manchester United, goal from the new boy Donny van de Beek coming off the bench. Already know what I want to say, but let's hear from Jose. Let's see what you have to say. Let's see what he has to say about this.
Okay, so I have a couple points I want to cover. First of all, I want to say it was a really, really good performance from Wilfried Zaha, probably one of his best games for Crystal Palace since he signed for them. And I definitely want to congratulate him for that game. He was absolutely outstanding for them that game.
100% agreed.
I think overall we were dominated everywhere, midfield, attack, and defense. I think Lindelof probably had his worst ever game for Manchester United by far. And I think that it was also really poor from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because we knew we struggled to beat them last season. We did once 2-0, but it was tight. It was very tight. And obviously we lost the other game. So I think Solskjaer should have known that Crystal Palace know a lot about what we do, and he should have prepared better and maybe even changed his style a bit. As I said last week, I thought he should play a 4-3-3, but he didn't. He played his usual 4-2-3-1. But I think the main thing we have to think about is how this game would have been different if we had Jadon Sancho in the club. And I think that we need to make sure, as Man United fans, we need to make sure that the board knows how important it is that they get him in.
Yeah, and everything you said was spot on, and I just want to give a short little opinion of my own. I'm again, as he said, that's just not good enough for Manchester United, and another thing that I don't really get is I've noticed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really has just this tendency to have his favorites. For whatever reason, this was a perfect game for Fred to start, whether Matic wasn't fit or not. But this was a game for Fred, but instead he chooses McTominay, who really isn't a number 6, but he plays him there with Pogba, and that really limits, Pogba's freedom to go forward. And speaking of Paul Pogba, I think there have been reports that he wasn't even fully fit, and it looks like Pogba was still just slowly coming out of his symptoms of COVID. I mean, he didn't look like his normal self. He was making very, very schoolboy mistakes, and I think Ole really just threw him into that game when he had only been training for a couple days and stuff like that, and I think that's really poor from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And as you highlighted, Lindelof and Maguire. What did I say from the get-go from last week? That pairing, and I've been saying it for over a year now, even before the start of this podcast, that pairing needs to be ripped up, and a new pairing needs to happen. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked for a center back in the summer. He asked for a right winger. He wanted a left back, a center defensive midfielder, and he wanted a center attacking midfielder. He got it in Van de Beek. He wanted to get rid of a whole bunch of deadwood that was in the club. And if you look at this from the bigger picture, you can blame Solskjaer for a couple things, but for the past 8 years, what's been the one consistent thing? The Glazers and Ed Woodward, it really has been the same old thing in it, and I just have to say, it's just looking really for some of the deals that they've done. They've been absolutely shocking. I mean, that Alexis Sanchez deal was the thing that really destroyed the wage structure at Manchester United, if you think about it. Paying him $500,000 a week, that really just killed off our wage structure. And yes, we got rid of him, but we have players that don't even make the bench, like Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira, Juan Mata, and Sergio Romero now, Diogo Dalot even sometimes, and all these fringe players in combined yearly salaries, they make around like 30 million a year. I mean, that's absolutely obscene. And I think the Glazers, they've just been so poor with that. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really just has been put in a really, really poor position. And the board have more or less been saying, hey, you got what you got. You got to use what you got. And I think, and even Luke Shaw said it after the game that he said it in, not directly because he got himself in trouble, but I mean, even Luke Shaw was saying, hey, it'd be great to have some new faces in the club. I mean, even one of your own players is saying, hey, let's bring in some new faces. I mean, there have been rumors of Alex Telles. I personally believe that that deal should go through, roughly around like 25-ish million pounds. But I just need to say, I mean, that's just not good enough overall. It's really, really poor for Manchester United, and they need to get their act together. And again, and looking for the game ahead against Brighton, there cannot be any Lindelof and Maguire pairings because when there's a center forward with pace, we all know what the end result is going to be most of the time. Anyways, I just want to get through that for the Manchester United game.
How many signings do you think United can realistically expect by the end of the window, including Van de Beek? I think we all know they want 4 or 5, but how many can you realistically expect to sign? How many will get done?
Two more signings.
Yeah, I agree with that. And 2 more signings. Extremely credulous transfer journalist Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United are likely and are keen on bringing in a right winger, and without saying his name, I think all 5 of us know who that right winger is, who that right winger is, who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants, and it's been clear for now well over 18-ish months who he's been begging the board to get, and they've been negotiations for ages, but and all of us know who he is, so I think we can just leave his name out of it. And Alex Telles, I think, is a left back that Manchester United are looking to bring in. I also think they really need a center back, but knowing the Glazers and how unbelievably slow they are at transfers, and how really stingy they can be with money, we just don't know. We really don't know. And Ed Woodward has hid behind the fact that COVID-19 has been a massive problem. Wait, hold on a minute. Is Manchester City hiding behind COVID-19? Is Chelsea hiding? Especially Chelsea. They have that Hazard and Morata money, but look how much money they spent. They spent almost 250 million pounds, I think, on players, and I just think it's ridiculous to hide behind that statement of COVID-19 for me. So yeah, so if Manchester United want to have the season that they're looking to have, and they need to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and give him the tools he needs to succeed. Anyways, that's enough for Manchester United against Crystal Palace. Moving into the next game, Arsenal versus West Ham. Sirius, I'm guessing, is very happy about this performance, although it wasn't the most graceful Arteta masterclass that a lot of fans say about Mikel Arteta. Although Arsenal won 2 goals to 1, goals courtesy of Hugo Guest, who scored one of the goals, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Eddie Nketiah off the bench, and Mikel Antonio scoring for West Ham. Sirius, what did you make of this result?
I thought it was I didn't think it was a great performance, to be honest, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. Also, it was Lacazette who scored. Aubameyang got the assist. Yeah, but I think overall it wasn't a good performance. But games like that last season, those are the games that we would normally lose. So it's good to get a win, 2-2. I hope we can continue with that. We have a tough test, Liverpool. It's gonna be hard. I'd be happy if we get a draw, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think what Sirius says is spot on, to be honest with you. It wasn't the prettiest of performances. I think it still shows that that Mikel Arteta is looking to really get all of his pieces together. As you see, he's still playing 3 at the back, and I don't believe that's his preferred formation, but just with the personnel he has at the moment, and I just believe that he'll hopefully look to move to 4 at the back. whether it, no matter what the center back combo is. I mean, and they have some options at center back, and they brought in two brilliant young prospects from Ligue 1, being Gabriel and Saliba, and best of luck for those two, and for also throughout the season. But if they want to have that luck, and similar to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think the Cronkies really need to supply Mikel Arteta with the tools he really needs. Moving to the next game.
I was going to say, I genuinely do not think Arsenal would have squeezed that win without Gabriel on defense. He was absolutely spectacular. He timed his tackles so well. And West Ham, they were strong that game. They were not weak. Gabriel is a huge part of why they got that win. Huge props to him.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's just, and I think just, the way he's been performing is impressing anyone. I mean, he's been very, very impressive since he signed. And I mean, if Tottenham fans are saying it, of all people, then yeah, I think he deserves a certain amount of credit. And yeah, and when Manchester United missed out on signing him, I was not very happy because everybody saw how good he was, and when he signed for Arsenal, I knew he was going to be something really, really good for them. And yeah, I think he'll be a very, very pivotal piece for them come the season. And back to you, Andre, actually, for the next game, Southampton versus Tottenham. I'm guessing Andre just was very upset with Tottenham winning by 5-2. Southampton goals courtesy of Danny Ings with a penalty. It was one of the goals. And then Heung-min Son just went off, and he scored 4 goals. And then their main talisman, Mr. Harry Kane, scored a goal as well. Andre, what do you make of this Tottenham performance?
So yeah, that second half was fantastic. We can always dwell on the positives, but I guess you do look at it and you do think that, the outlying thing is it was a poor first half. It was. Danny Ings was able to get in behind for a lovely goal, but it was also because I think Davinson Sanchez, at some points, his biggest fault is that he'll lose concentration at times. And I think had he stayed concentrated, that goal could have been prevented. And if Davinson Sanchez does want to continue getting that starting spot or playing time in general, he does need to work on that part of his game, that mental part. In terms of everything else, it was brilliant. Tanguy and Ndombele with that turn on 3 of their midfielders to play in. I think it was Kane and then Son. Yeah, it was brilliant. Harry Kane, 4 assists in a match to one player, first time it's ever been done. Kane and Son, most effective duo in the Premier League, I think, in terms of their stats. And it was exactly what we needed with Bale coming in. I really hope he was watching, which I hope he was. He understands that this isn't the same Tottenham he's coming back to. He has other world-class players, and that front 3 is going to be deadly. Harry Kane, De Bruyne, same. That's what he was that day. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's spot on with what he says. I think what he said about Tottenham just sums it up perfectly. Anyways, moving into the next game, moving along quickly here. Newcastle against Brighton. Jose, Brighton won this game by 3-0, courtesy of a brace from Neil Mopai and a goal from Aaron Connolly. Jose, what do you have to say about this game?
So this game pretty much went as I predicted it last week. I thought that it'd be fairly even, but I thought that Brighton would take their chances and Newcastle wouldn't, and that's pretty much how it went. So, they had relatively even possession, even passes, but Brighton just took their chances and Newcastle didn't.
Yeah, and yeah, I think Jose just summed it up there perfectly. I don't think I need to say anything other than that. He really just summed it all up perfectly. Anyways, and getting into the big fixture from this past weekend, Chelsea versus Liverpool. Curtis, Sadio Mane scored a brace for Liverpool, and again, as we highlighted earlier, Kepa Arrizabalaga with another howler for Chelsea. And Curtis, what did you make of this game? Looking at both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I really do want to like Kepa, but it's just mistake after mistake, and at this point, he's just a liability to their team. Um, you can't ask me what Christensen was thinking there because I have no clue. I think that's the main reason why they brought in 2 center backs was to avoid stuff like that. So I think Chelsea do need a little time to settle in because of how many signings they have coming in, and but I'm not discrediting Liverpool. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, they won't perform as well as they did last season. They're gonna drop off, but they dominated that game. I mean, that front three is deadly. Sadio Mane is explosive. They dominated that game, and Chelsea did have a couple chances on the break with Timo Werner with the speed, but it was all Liverpool, and from the first 5-10 minutes, I knew they were going to win that game.
Yeah, and again, he sums it up perfectly. And I just want to say, when Thiago came on, you all saw how good he was. He was absolutely excellent in that second round of 45 minutes against Chelsea, and he was brilliant. Just in terms of his passing and his movement, everything like that. Anyways, quickly moving into our last topic, match day 3 predictions. We have another 10 games to predict. So let's look at the first game. The first game we have is Brighton against Manchester United, and I'll make the prediction. I'll put my neck on the line for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the lads. For me, I don't think it would be a typical Ole Gunnar Solskjaer absolutely fantastic kind of performance. But I think because Brighton have been excellent, so I think they'll just get over the line. I think Manchester United will just win this game. Curtis, moving to you.
There's a lot of pressure on them right now, so I think they're going to use that, and that's going to help them play better. It's not going to be an easy game for them. Hopefully, we see some changes in that lineup and maybe tactically as well. But I agree. I think United will get past this one with a win, maybe 2-1 or 2-0.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up there excellently. And Jose, moving to you.
So I think for this game that we will win because we lost our last game. I think if we had won our last game, this game would not be a win. This game would probably be a draw. But I think we have so much pressure on us, like Curtis just said, that we're going to have to perform. Otherwise, there's going to be some serious questions, more serious than those that are already being asked. So I think we will win this game.
All right. Sirius, moving to you.
I think United's going to win this game also. I agree with Andre and Jose. The pressure's really on for them.
All right. So pretty universal across the board. Moving into Crystal Palace and Everton. And I think, again, Everton with the quality that they have. Even though Crystal Palace had a good result, I think Everton will win this one. Curtis, moving to you.
Crystal Palace did look good, but I'm going to give it to Everton. They've looked strong this season so far, and I think they have momentum, and it's going to carry on. So I'm going to give Everton the win.
Jose, moving to you.
I agree. I think Everton have the win.
And Sirius, what about you?
Yeah, I agree also. I think Everton will win. I'm excited to see Rodriguez play again.
And lastly, Andre, Everton and Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I think it's really even. I think both sides look strong, but I'm gonna go for a draw.
Okay, interesting.
I don't think we'll win it.
All right. And moving to the next game, West Brom and Chelsea. Moving along quickly. I think Chelsea will wipe West Brom clean, and I think that will be a very easy win for Chelsea. Curtis, moving to you.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are slowly gluing together, as you can see over their cup game over the week. But yeah, I think a comfortable win for Chelsea.
Jose, moving to you.
I agree completely. Definitely a comfortable Chelsea win.
And Sears?
Yeah, Chelsea win.
And Andre, and you're the same?
Yeah, West Brom would really have to show something new that we haven't seen to try to challenge.
All right. I'm picking up the pace here. Burnley against Southampton. I think this will be a draw. Curtis.
Draw, I agree.
And what about the three of you?
I think it's gonna be a Burnley win.
Okay. Sirius, moving to you.
Oh yeah, I have to agree with David. I think it's gonna be a Burnley win.
Okay. And Andre, what about you?
I'm gonna give it to Burnley as well.
Okay. And moving into Sheffield United versus Leeds United. We don't have too much time left. I think Leeds United will win this game. Curtis, moving to you.
Yeah, I love how Leeds have been playing. I'm gonna also give them the win.
Okay. And Jose, back to you.
Yeah, Sheffield United, the only team that hasn't scored yet in the Premier League. I think Leeds are definitely gonna dominate them in this game.
Sirius and Andre, what about you?
I think Leeds will just impress with how fluid their football and their attack will be, and I think they'll smash Sheffield out.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. And moving into Tottenham and Newcastle. I predict Tottenham will win this game. Curtis, what about you? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I like Tottenham for this one too.
And Jose, moving to you.
Completely agree. I think Tottenham will win.
And Sirius and Andre, what about you two?
Our attack to be bouncing. We'll come away with the win on this one.
All right, Manchester City against Leicester. I think Man City will win this game. And all of you, give me your responses.
It's gonna be a tie.
Okay.
I agree. I think a tie as well.
Okay.
I think City's gonna win this game.
Okay, Andre.
I think the Liverpool-Arsenal match will put this one in the shadow, but this is also a match between two top teams, and I think it'll be tough. But I'll go for a draw as well.
Okay. And West Ham and Wolves. I think Wolves will win this game. Curtis, what about you?
Yeah, well, Wolves look strong in that second half against City, so I'm gonna go with Wolves.
And what about the rest of you?
I would go with draw. I think Antonio will do well in this game, and it'll be a little bit too much for Wolves, so they won't get the win.
Okay. And hello, and welcome back to part 2 of episode 3 of Premier League Primetime. And sincere apologies. We had some technical difficulties, and unfortunately, I have now lost my 3 wonderful co-hosts, and I really, really and sincerely apologize to all 3 of them. They're all absolutely brilliant as always, and I sincerely apologize to our guest Curtis because some of his analyses were absolutely phenomenal. And I apologize to you viewers if you are annoyed with this because quite frankly, if I were in your position, honestly, I would be looking at this and I would be saying, wow, that's dreadful. So to be honest, if you're annoyed, I really and truly sincerely apologize for that. And I also sincerely apologize because we did miss a couple of games. And again, my apologies with the lack of organization on that part. And without further ado, let's get right back into where we just were. We are going to pick up where we left off. And unfortunately, the guys aren't here to give their analyses. So we're going to start back up with Leicester City and Burnley, where Leicester City won by 4-2. And goals scored by Harvey Barnes for Leicester, Eric Peters with an own goal, James Justin and Dennis Pratt with goals for Leicester City. And for Burnley, goals from Chris Wood and Jimmy Dunn. And I just want to say for this game, I think it was as we all predicted. I think Leicester, again, you look at Jamie Vardy, everybody says how good Jamie Vardy is, and I don't think anybody in the world who knows anything about football would say or would question his ability. I mean, this guy's a world-class striker, and he's been doing the Premier League now for so many years. But apart from Vardy and James Maddison per se, I think it's amazing to see the quality that Leicester have on the pitch. Again, Harvey Barnes and Iosi Perez, and now they brought in apologies if I get the name wrong. Apologies if I get the name wrong. But Shanks Undera from Roma, signed him on loan. I think he's going to be a quality player for that side. My opinion. They recently signed Timothy Castagne from Atalanta. He's a very, very good player. They're solid at the back. I still think they will need a center back. If Wilfred Ndidi is going to be playing in his natural number 6 where he is at his best. But as I was saying, I think this is a game that we all saw and predicted that Leicester were gonna take this game by the scruff of the neck, and I think they did very well to win this game. Going on to the next game, Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. Aston Villa winning this game by a 0-0, scored by central defender Ezri Konsa, and as Jose brilliantly predicted last week, and he would be analyzing this game right now, and I think what he said was just carbon copy of what happened here, and in Jose's words, he said that this would not be an absolute one-sided game, that this would just be, a game which one team would barely win. And he did predict Aston Villa, so cheers to Jose for his predictions with that. And lastly, we had the probably the second biggest game, which was Wolverhampton versus Manchester City. And Manchester City won by 3-1, courtesy of goals from Kevin De Bruyne from the spot. Youngster Phil Foden, now really, really making his true breakthrough into this first team, and Gabriel Jesus replacing the injured Sergio Aguero. And for Wolves, of course, you could probably guess their Mexican talisman, Raul Jimenez, grabbing them a goal. And for me, watching this game, Manchester City, again, as they always are under Pep Guardiola, they were largely dominant in possession on the ball. And looking at this game, they weren't always good. I was watching this game from my point of view. There were points where that defense was very, very shaky, and Wolves were creating chances after chances. That's how they scored the goal, to be honest with you. Just sloppy defending by Manchester City, as nobody really picked up, or they just did really poorly defending Raul Jimenez, who scored from a snap header, putting it into the back of Ederson's net. And there were a couple games that we missed in terms of predictions, and once again, I sincerely apologize for that. Moving into the next game that we originally left off at, which was Fulham versus Aston Villa. In my opinion, Fulham, yes, they were good against Leeds, but I just don't really see them having a chance against Aston Villa, to be honest with you. Villa, for me, they've done decently well in their opening games. Hopefully Emiliano Martinez will keep another clean sheet for Villa. And of course, Jack Grealish will be that main guy they will look to. And I personally believe that Aston Villa will take this one, but similarly to what Jose said about when Aston Villa played Sheffield United last week, this will not be a absolute battering of any side. I just do think that that Villa will be able to just scrape it, whether it's to a bit of Jack Grealish quality or whatnot, and stuff like that. Moving to the final game, Liverpool against Arsenal. Now, these two teams have been flying so far at the start of the league. Yes, I'm a Manchester United fan, and both of these teams just really don't come round well to me, specifically because of the rivalry we hold for, that we as Manchester United fans hold with Arsenal and Liverpool. But both of these teams have been so impressive. Mikel Arteta, he's been very on point with Arsenal. Arsenal have looked very, very good, especially new signing Gabriel. he's been a pivotal part to that back five that he's now playing in that 3-4-3 formation. And for me, I do believe because of Jurgen Klopp's just status as an overall manager and just the quality that Liverpool have overall, I do think Liverpool will take this game. But again, similarly to what I said about Aston Villa and Fulham, I don't think this will be an easy. This certainly will not be an easy win for Liverpool, especially if Arsenal play the way they have been for the past couple of games. For the past 2 games, my apologies. That is all the results for this weekend, or for the games that we're predicting for this weekend. Thank you so much for your time watching this. If you made it through the end of this video, kudos, props to you. I just want to say, if you have liked our podcast so far, go ahead and smash those likes on our videos, whether it's this one or the prior 2 episodes that we did. If you want to keep in touch with us or follow us on Instagram, our Instagram is @PLPrimetime. And again, we thank you everybody for watching. Please, and again, go ahead, subscribe to our channel. And if anybody would like to guest on our channel, be sure to Be sure to contact our channel or myself on Instagram @Davi_20 for those inquiries. Again, thank you for your time listening to wherever you are around the world. Thank you so much. And wherever you are in the world, have a great day/evening.